Think I'm live. Just waiting for the computer to catch up. Okay, I think I'm live. Okay, awesome. So you guys, hey, how's everyone doing this week? I hope everyone's well, whether you're watching the live or the recording. I'm super glad you're here. I wanted to take a minute today and talk about body love and acceptance and giving yourself unconditional love. I did a poll yesterday, and the thing that's most important to most of you in this group is loving yourself unconditionally and feeling total body confidence. And this is really cool to see that. And I think there's been a profound shift in diet culture, just seeing that response from a lot of you, because even though you might want your body to look different, which is normal for a lot of women today, it's important to recognize that confidence in our body and loving ourselves must come before anything else. So in my practice and working with women and even working with my own body, over and over again, I see that, the root cause of any concerns that we have around the way our body looks, whether we live in a larger body or a smaller body, it doesn't matter. But the way that we look at ourselves is so profound in how we feel in our body or how we don't feel in our body. A lot of women have learned to not live in their body. And that's a lot of the work that I do in my Peace with Food and Soul course and group coaching program, is helping women tap back into the internal wisdom of their body rather than living just intellectually in their headspace, which is really, really common. I know that I was stuck in my intellectual mind for years trying to figure out what to eat to be healthy. And after recognizing that actually the cart can't come before the horse. And in fact, or did I say that the wrong way? The cart doesn't come before the horse, right? The horse comes before the cart. We have to take a minute to accept our bodies where they're at now. And this is a principle of intuitive eating, is respecting our body and stepping into a place and finding a way to accept where we're at in the present moment. And I see someone watching, but I don't know who it is. So please say hello if you're watching this live. I would love to see who's here. Although I don't always get comments, I don't always see anything when I'm recording on my computer. So I'll just keep going. In either case, so respecting the body and accepting the body in the present moment is a huge component of the intuitive eating process. And it's one of the last steps of intuitive eating. I talked about the 10 principles in another live, and it's an important concept that I work with my clients that I work with, is really this idea of accepting where we're at in the present moment. And we start this process by starting to become more aware, again, using the principles of awareness and curiosity to begin to understand the inner dialogue going on in our head. And so if someone's struggling with body confidence or they're not feeling like they love themselves unconditionally, the first place I want them to look is their thought patterns, right? Their beliefs, the stories, and the thoughts that are going on in their mind. So what are they telling themselves? Most likely that they would not tell their best friend, even somebody on the side street. We tend to, as women, be more critical of our own bodies and our own actions than anybody else ever is, right? Like it's just it's a psychological thing, but we tend to be so much harder on ourselves than we need to be. So the first step in this process is identifying those thoughts without judgment. We don't need to see those thoughts and be like, oh no, we need to get rid of these, because again, that's a resistant kind of approach to changing or reprogramming our relationship with food and body. Really what this is about is seeing the thoughts, witnessing them, and through that witnessing experience without judgment, deciding if we want it to be different. So one thing, let me see, I did write some notes. I always do, just because I have so much to say in these lives and I don't want them to take forever. But it's also important, let me make sure. So watching the inner dialogue with curiosity and recognizing that when we decide to do this, and we also decide to start the process of loving ourselves unconditionally, that we're not giving up on ourselves. So I've had women say to me, if I accept myself and my body where it's at right now, it means I'm giving up. And I want this to be a strong understanding in this moment that accepting yourself in the present moment isn't about giving up. It's actually about, it's again, the more important step in self-discovery is to accept the present moment before moving forward, because you're not giving up on your goals by accepting where you're at right now. And that might be a hard concept to wrap your head around, but it's an important one because I never ever see it work in reverse. When we go against our body and we think, okay, the only way I can feel confidence in my body, or the only way that I'll love myself unconditionally, is if I meet this criteria. And for so many women, it's about their weight, right? If I lose 20 pounds, then I can love myself unconditionally. Then I can have body confidence. And it's actually the reverse. So I think that's the strong point that I want to get across in this live today, is that body acceptance and the process of learning to love yourself actually comes before any body change becomes permanent. So regardless of your weight, and I don't like to put the focus around weight because that's never what this work is about. I mean, certainly we use that as a, women will use that as a goal. Like they think that if they get this place with their weight, then they're going to be happy. And I think deep down, if you're listening to this live, you know that that's not the truth, right? The truth is not about your body size. If you live in a larger or smaller body, the truth is learning to love and accept yourself is the number one priority in this moment. It's all that matters. How we feel in our body is more important than our body shape or size. Again, this is a difficult concept to accept, but it's one that if we can work on it, it can set us free on levels that if this has been plaguing your mind, if this has been a part of your dialogue, letting go of this can literally change everything in your life. And I'm not just talking about your relationship with food and body. It can change finances. It can change relationships, all for the better as it relates to this concept of accepting your present body in the moment. So why is this important from a physiological standpoint? Well, when we are in acceptance of our body, when we're in gratitude, which is a component of this that I'd love to talk about, we actually support healthy body chemistry. Okay, so it actually triggers the side of our nervous system that's more of the rest and digest side of our nervous system. It's called the parasympathetic side of our nervous system. When we spend more time in the parasympathetic nervous system compared to the sympathetic, or kind of the fight or flight, the one that raises cortisol and insulin and all these hormones that work against us when they're chronically elevated, when we're more in parasympathetic, we actually elicit the healing response from the body. Okay, so when we're in a chronic state of resistance against our body, we're hating on our body, we're telling ourselves negative things about the food choices we made, the way our body looks in the mirror, that actually stimulates the sympathetic or fight or flight side of our nervous system that actually works against the healing and reparation that can happen in a relaxed state. So working on the inner dialogue is actually the first step to supporting healthy biochemistry that supports healing and all the health goals that are important to you. And so it's important that we look at this maybe from a more intellectual standpoint, because people oftentimes are like, oh, Beth, you're just telling me to love myself now. That's easier said than done. And it's true. It is easier said than done because we've been programmed by so many different sources, whether it's parents or peers or society has all told us that we need to look or act a certain way to be quote unquote accepted, or even to accept ourselves. So those become part of our story. So again, as I mentioned at the front half of this live, the first step is acknowledging and witnessing that dialogue as it happens. That's the first step to loving and accepting ourselves, is just being aware of all the thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. And instead of, we're not bypassing those emotions, but we're seeing them for what they are. And that's the only way we can step into the next moment of transformation within this process, by letting them go. And that again is a process. It's a muscle we have to flex over and over again, but we can start that today. We can start that right now in this moment. And some tools that I use and that I've actually offered free to this group include the Best Body Meditation. That meditation is more or less a visualization for you. It's 15 minutes. I have an extended version for the clients in my group coaching program, but this Best Body Meditation actually supports you in getting back into your body and actually feeling what it feels like to love, accept yourself, and to feel confident in your body. What it feels like, not intellectually, not what you should look like, okay? What it actually feels like to move in a body that you feel confident in. And the key here is size doesn't matter, wrinkles, scars, curves, like all of that is actually has no reflection on what it actually is to feel good in the body, okay? So I hope I'm making this clear and I hope it makes sense. But this is a huge component of the work I do in Peace with Food and Soul, is really helping a woman understand that the feeling of feeling confident in the body is a feeling first, and then the manifestation, and I hesitate to use that word because I know it's really loaded, but the physical body responds to more positive thoughts, more gratitude, and when we're in the more things that stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system help the body support healing. So I've seen so many women go through the program and do this work, and they see their digestive system improve, right? They see their IBS, which they could never understand where it came from because they've gone to a GI doc and there's nothing wrong, but they still have intense bloating or gas or diarrhea or constipation. They find that through stimulation of the parasympathetic nervous system or reprogramming their thoughts and beliefs around food and body and their mind actually supports symptom relief for something like IBS. Now, I'm not telling you this always happens, but this has been something I've seen repeatedly over time. In addition, a woman who is obsessed with the scale, right? She steps on the scale every single day, and that elicits those stressful thoughts and feelings. She can't lose weight, regardless of if she needs to or not. She has a hard time losing weight because she's in so much resistance to her body. She's pushing against it. She's restricting, dieting, counseling. It's not until she can find love for herself, okay? And it takes contemplation, it takes support of a community of women who can support her on this journey, that she can be confident in her body first. If her body needs to change, if it needs to lose weight, it will naturally, it will effortlessly. And if it doesn't matter because what the woman wanted in the first place, which is love and acceptance for herself, is there regardless of the number of the scale. So she doesn't have to step on the scale anymore, right? She doesn't have to measure herself or count her calories or deprive herself to feel worthy. In fact, the worth comes from within. So that is something that we have to practice, and we have to think about, and we have to observe our thoughts, our belief patterns first and foremost, so that the result of our efforts in that reprogramming of mind, of our thoughts and emotions and beliefs actually can set forth long-lasting behavior change, and then the body can heal depending on what it is. Again, a lot of women come to me with weight concerns, but so if weight is needed to be lost, maybe it will be lost. But again, at the end of the day, it doesn't even matter, because the ultimate goal and feeling in the body is actually the more important thing. So, and really the long-lasting effect of mindful and intuitive eating practice. So let me see. I think I've kind of covered that. So the Best Body Meditation, as I mentioned, is a visualization, again, to get us out of our intellectual head into our body, to actually feel what it feels like to be in a body where we're confident and we love ourselves unconditionally. And then for anybody here who is interested in how this work can work for them, I'm continuing to offer a food freedom strategy call, which is about a 60-minute call with me personally, where we can talk about your situation, where you're at, where you want to go, and I can help you create a roadmap, if you will, to help you reach those goals in the shortest amount of time possible. Now, of course, this is a journey different for everyone, but if that's curious to you, if you have some questions about that and you wanted to hop on a call, I'd be happy to do that. I'll throw in the link after I'm off of this live for anybody who's interested, but this is a great way to explore if mindful and intuitive eating work is right for you. If you're ready to, this is really for the woman ready to let go of the scale, okay, which I know can be hard. She might still want to lose weight, and that's completely okay. But she's going to come in to the program and into the work that we do together with an open mind and ready to recognize that the work is not about the weight loss. It's actually about what's going on up here, what's going on in here, and actually what's going on in here, which I'm rubbing my belly if you can't tell. This is our enteric nervous system. And these three components, the head, the heart, and the gut, all work together. And when we can tap into those different communication centers of our body, we can actually start to, again, reprogram the mind, reprogram our relationship with food and body so that we can have and reach our health goals in a sustainable way that doesn't require an app, counting, deprivation, a whole bunch of lists about what you should eat, what you shouldn't eat. In fact, the wisdom comes from within. And one of the keys, I will remind you again, is actually finding acceptance for your body now, learning how to start loving yourself unconditionally, no matter what body you're living in, and no matter if or whether you like that body or not. You don't have to, this isn't like a mind game, okay? This is actually a form of self-compassion and self-love to just start to respect the body. So it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be happy with where you're at, but you do have to accept the present moment and treat your body with respect in that moment. So that might mean buying clothes that fit your body currently and feeding yourself regularly. Those are actually forms of respecting our body that are so important that sometimes we forget about. I've worked with so many women who don't love themselves unconditionally. They feel like they have to reach a certain body size in order to feel the love for themselves that they want to feel. And this process is hard. I encourage them to go to the store and actually buy clothes that fit their body in the moment. And although it's difficult, it's actually a form of deep respect to honor the body shape and size that they're at now and buy things that make them feel comfortable. Because again, it's about the feeling of the body, and wearing clothes that feel comfortable is a huge part of that. And then alternatively, feeding the self. So I've worked with women who tend to restrict. There's like a restricting and then a little bit of a binging. And regardless if they had or had been diagnosed with some type of binge or purging eating disorder, that's not the important part. Women without that diagnosis can still go through these binge purge cycles. Getting a woman to eat more regular meals, to honor her body chemistry, to honor and respect her body, is another way to show respect and love for self that kind of precedes the results that the woman is looking for. So I hope that makes sense. I'm kind of going off on a tangent a little bit here, but some different things are coming up for me as I'm talking. So I hope this was clear. I imagine I was jumping around a little bit at the front end of the conversation, but this is just a reminder to you that if you're somebody who has a goal to love yourself unconditionally, to feel total body confidence, it's a reminder that that process can start today. It doesn't come after whatever results you're looking for are met. It actually needs to come before the results are met. Otherwise, it will never be sustainable. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, pop them in the chat. If you want to explore this more and have a one-on-one conversation with me, once again, I'll invite you to my Food Freedom Strategy Call. It's an hour. It's free. It's an opportunity for me to ask you some questions, figure out where you're at, where you want to go, and provide a roadmap for success if this is something that's important to you. So if that calls to you, if you're drawn to it, just I'll add the link here in a second and you guys can check that out. And schedule a call as needed. So that is all I have today. I hope everyone is doing well. Thank you for filling out my polls. I love putting polls up because I think they're easy to interact with. It's great to get feedback from you and more information about what you want to learn about in this group, what's important to you in this moment. So go have a great week, and I'll be in here later today and tomorrow and every day going forward. So we'll talk to you soon.